And ladies and gentlemen, here we are down to the bottom left-hand corner of Cloud Kingdom. We have our Orange Protoss player from the team MVP, a guy who has been alternating between leading off and actually acing for them in Team League scenarios over the past couple years. It's Tails. His opponent here in the upper right-hand corner, wearing the tag of his manager, Robin, actually. That is Liquid TLO, our Teal Zerg player. Very unconventional Zerg player, and a very fun one to watch at that. Yeah, TLO's been playing like crazy on the Korean ladder. It's always been doing for a while. He recently started playing Heart of the Storm the last few days, but I believe that was before that, so you shouldn't worry about him being a little bit off in terms of practicing a different game. But still, TLO, like you mentioned, very unconventional. He'll do things like put his hatchery in the middle of the map and put a creep timber down and get that creep moving so quickly to the point where it's at 8 minutes and suddenly you have the creep outside of your opponent's natural just because he does a weird tactic like that. So on the other hand, you got Tails, strong gateway player, opening with a pylon in the main. But seeing some players do this, so actually go straight for a Nexus afterwards. Yep. At their natural. They just do this to be a little bit on the safer side because 7 pulls have become really, really popular as of late. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It looks like TLO, though, is going to play this a little more conventionally. I would expect nothing but a 15 pool here out in just a second just to stay safe. He can try and push it and go for a quick hatch, and he actually... No, okay, I'm sorry, that was just the Overlord that was being sent down here. No, he is going to go hatch first, and this is a little bit risky. Maybe a case of knowing his opponent. Thankfully for him, there's no Forge on the way because this could have been punished very easily. Wow, we still don't have anything quite yet from Tails. There we go. Now he's moving into that Nexus first. So scouting that hatchery first allows Tails to fall up into his Nexus first, and he'll actually get the better end of the whole entire bargain here. But I like the scouting pattern. You notice it hit right into the natural, into the main, when he had 400 resources available to him. So if he needed to, he could follow up with double gateways, possibly at home if he needed to defend anything. So really cool play from him. And Tails, as you can see, is continuing to be smart. All he has to do is keep this probe here, and it's going to force drones off the line. Maybe not a ton of them, but if he drops down a pylon, you can be rest assured that a lot of stuff would start hitting his way. Although, unfortunately for him, this Overlord has already seen the expansion, and pretty much the jig is up now. So he knows that it's not going to be any cannon pressure, and immediately TLO started moving off, and is actually going to go for his third hatch very quickly at the 322 mark. All right, man. ZVP, expansions galore. Start calling it, we'll have to come up with some kind of tagline for that. But yeah, we're going to have a little bit here before both players do power on up and get to the point where they want to get to, where they want to pop in. TLO usually does his famed put a hatcher in the middle of the field and put a creep timber down, mostly in ZVT. There is a small chance you'll see it in ZVP, but for the most part, with an opening like this, you really don't need to get that creep spread moving out as fast as possible. You just want to save all your resources and keep the queens back for a while. So we'll pop out a couple links, move into gas, and from here, we'll see what Tails has out for him. He will have a really strong 2-base timing attack available around like 8:30, 9:30 if he wants to go that route, which maybe use 7, 8 gates depending on what he wants to go for. It's just Tails at his gateways, man. That's all you'll ever see. Maybe an Immortal mixed in here and there. Yeah, I mean, he is easily read, almost like a book. I mean, you know what you're going to get from him. Largely 2-base play. You're going to get aggression. If all else fails, well, then you'll expand behind that, and we'll try some other stuff later. But he's certainly going to put on the pressure very quickly in this game, and we can already see that, of course, with the double zealots already being produced. That, of course, allowed him to concentrate more on minerals anyway, going for just a single assimilator and no forge to back this up. I mean, you mentioned that Tails is like a book, and you kind of read him, but he's a really big book. Like, it takes forever to read him because he has so many builds that streamline out of what he wants to open him to. Look at this. He actually went double gateway. This allows him to put zealot pressure on that third and try to punish this really quick third from TLO that went down at 320. And TLO will have a queen and a few lings available at that third. But it could throw him for a few surprises. Luckily for him, though, he has an Overlord and 2 lings actually sneaking into the natural, so he's aware of the aggression that is coming. All right, so let's see here how he's going to be able to deal with these zealots. As you mentioned, all those lings are all popping up at the same time here, so he has more than enough to deal with this. The creep spread is enough, at least, for him to be able to navigate around with those Zerglings and pick these zealots off. No further zealots were actually being produced. The rest of this is just going to be used for a couple of stalkers here in a bit. You know, it's actually kind of a clever decision to take more damage on that queen and make sure that fewer Zerglings would get killed in the midst of all of this. But in the end, it's pretty much a dead attack there for Tails. He sees that hatchery completed very quickly, but doesn't really get a lot done. All right, so we still have 1 gas here for TLO. He's going to keep on droning up, and actually with that attack coming, I would actually wait for a little bit longer before he did fall up into the gas that he wants to get. He has queued up speed, should fall up into the lair afterwards, but these lings allow him just to hold off on a third from coming up for a while. Usually if you see that your opponent's got a really quick third, Tails will try to get a third around like 7:15, 7:30 if he wants to go for a 3-base timing attack. So these lings are very important in terms of just popping in. See how the speed hits perfectly?
TLO has this planned out so well. This is a really good strategy. But at the same time, Tails is going for a counterattack here. We have a nice amount of Zealots already headed to natural.
That's very true, and this Queen already is pretty low. Another inject hits down, and we'll see what TLO does to defend against this. Actually just pulling all of his lings immediately back home. The double pylon block would, of course, taken too long for him to try and navigate through, and this is Tails. 6 gates, a pylon up at the front, and he's going to put on pressure right now.
All right, so we have the surround immediately hitting. The Stalkers actually have the surface area here, but nice pullback from Tails. See that control from him? So good. Unfortunately, just not quite enough. TLO was very active with making sure he had preemptive lings in the field, so he would be able to group them up really quickly. Catching the Stalkers here as well. TLO's, oh my gosh, he's actually playing really, really well at the moment. We do have another pylon in the top left corner, but at the same time, he's constantly killing off units.
All right, so the Zealot number is starting to grow a little bit. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult for the continued Zergling reinforcements to continue to put pressure right there. He's actually just going to pull his drones and try and shut this down right now. There's only a few Zealots left. A few more are being warped in around the top here, but the resources just not really being all that utilized for Tails at the moment, who's continuing to turn up back at home. 4 more Zealots now on the way, so he's going to inflict some damage, but these Zerglings have dealt with this perfectly. No economy loss for TLO, no threat of this hatchery falling at all.
I don't think TLO is aware of this pylon at all.
No, he's not. He's actually scouting around for it.
He has no idea that this pylon's gone up. He thinks, I've held off this post perfectly. Suddenly, Zealots in the third base, and they're going to run straight to the hatchery. He's going to go ahead and focus it down. And the Lings actually can't get a full surround, so he's going to have to do a little bit of a dance here until his other Lings get here. But a nice sneaky play there from Tails. He actually could have waited a little bit longer, but he was getting really anxious.
That's right. And the pylon is going to fall, so this is going to spell the end of the attack. It's just a question of how much damage Tails can do right now. And actually, the answer is not much. Again, no drones fell. The hatchery's still at fine health. The Zerglings are expendable at this stage of the game for TLO. And in spite of all that, he held off the first attack, like you said, decided to tech up past it. He threw down his infestation pit, 2 evolution chambers at the same time. But that's perfectly fine. He had enough to defend beyond that. His economy's still rocking, and TLO's just in a great spot.
I'm so glad TLO actually prepared and played this build just for Tails, because around 750, he had, what, 15 Lings on the field? 15 Lings is actually pretty stable for sniping pylons, getting rid of probes, and even a couple of Zelfs they push off across the middle of the field. And from there, you have all the larvae from all 3 of your hatcheries to pop out more Lings if need be. So a lot of Zergs will just drone and try to hold off on a whim. He played just the way you would against a Tails player, someone that just goes pure gateway. I'm so proud of TLO right now.
Yeah, playing exceptionally well. So what is he going to move into after that? Pneumatized Carapace, I'm sorry, not Pneumatized, Ventral Sax is being researched right now. So he is going to have those drops ready here in just a minute. Also with those Banelings available, Pathogen Glands is far enough along, he can start up a couple of Infestors too. He got a perfect scout with his Overseer over exactly what his opponent was up to. Don't know if he saw that third base. We'll actually take a look at his vision here for a second. No, he did not, but he saw everything else he needed to.
Yeah, he saw a bit of faint pressure coming out from the natural with a couple of Lings, so TLO started creating a lot more Lings as well. We got 24 on the way. He's also throwing up some spine cards at the same time, and Tails kind of banked on that to throw up the third.
Yeah, and we saw at the same time that, sorry, I still have congestion. I was actually popping my ears.
Oh, okay.
It looked like I was doing something really weird. No, you probably thought I was trying to interrupt you or something. No, I'm just popping my ears open so I can hear the game. But yeah, TLO gets down there, he sees the third base, not able to put a ton of pressure on it right now, but of course Photon Cannons have been so late into this game that he can actually effectively get in with a few run-bys, or as we see right now, those drops could actually be really effective here.
I like the way that TLO is going. Also, he's getting that 4th hatchery behind all this. With Tails at a position, he has to rush out Robotics Bay and get Colossus Tech on the way, because all the see from TLO is pure Lings. I think that Scout actually got in the main and saw the Evolution Chamber as well, so you can kind of assume that he's going to stick with Lings for a while. Ooh, nice contamination there. Slowing down any Observer production for a while. But TLO going for that 4th allows him to get an extra base on his opponent, as well as get more tech out, getting that Baneling speed. And as you mentioned, those drops that will be coming very, very soon. Unfortunately, for Tails, Colossus Tech is out a little bit on the late side. I really feel like if TLO wanted to kind of all on his opponent at the moment, he could crush him pretty easily with some Baneling drops.
Well, he does have a lot of units positioned everywhere. Look at these small groups of Banelings and Zerglings everywhere across the map, and he is actually going to move in not just with Banelings, but possibly with a couple of Infestors too, and this is a creative little attack. Load up a few Banelings inside of the Overlord, drop directly onto the mineral line while the Infestors are able to lock everything down, possibly with Infested Terrans to prevent those from escaping. We'll see what he does here.
All right, yeah, he's got some more balance in the natural. He's going to do a multi-pronged attack, actually. He's going to hit the third, going to hit the natural, maybe get a couple to sleep into the main if possible, and just land them all at once. How will Tails deal with it? We'll see momentarily as the first 4 overlords are on their way to the natural.
That's right, and he's not reacting by pulling away his probes quite yet. And the Banelings drop down to a significant amount of economic damage. At the same time, Zerglings are flooding into these photon cannons on the right-hand side. Those will actually fall pretty quickly, but we have yet more overlords full of Banelings ready to drop directly on top of these sentries.
There's some drops in the main as well happening right now, and they're going to hit a couple of them. Will land on the probes. A nice shot there. And then at the same time at the third, we did have a fungal on top of the sentries and more Banelings and Lings dropping at the same time. TLO is dismantling Tails at the moment. This third is going to go down.
There it is, GG, and TLO gives Liquid a 1-0 lead in this best of 9. What a great game played from TLO. That is one of the most just elegantly executed games I've seen from him in a long time.
Yeah, prepared for his opponent perfectly. As mentioned, he brought out the Lings a little bit earlier. That way he could follow up into more Lings and make sure to get early surrounds. Whenever you have a huge 68 coming your way, you want to try and stop it as soon as possible by killing off a majority of the Stalkers and trying to deal with a pylon. And TLO did that perfectly. And then the follow-up was executed very, very well. By showing a lot of Lings and showing the upgrades that were going on in the main, he saw the Observer come in. He realized that his opponent was going to move to Colossus Tech very, very quickly because he needs to deal with Lings. And so he's able to go straight into Banelings, and there's not going to be enough Colossus out to deal with that, or Stalkers, because you're really, really low on gas. Just nice play there from TLO.
Houston, we have a problem.
What's that?
The next player for MVP. The one that the people in the Team Liquid thread have termed Stomp Regu in Team Leagues, it's Dongregu. So MVP's pulling out the big guns right now. They know that they do have to win this set in order to secure second place. They have to win it fairly convincingly. Liquid, of course, needs to go 5-1 in order to take this home. But it looks like it is going to be Dongregu coming in next for a ZVZ.
It's going to be a fun one, man. TLO, when he wants to be on, he can be on when it comes to ZVZ. But again, it is Stomp Regu. We'll see how it goes after this quick commercial break.